to get us back there again this year.
That's the goal. That's right.
Guys, you can't let me down. We got to do this.
Absolutely. We're going to need your help. You can call your donations to our volunteers here or our volunteers up in Bangor, where Jackie Mundry is right now. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, Don and Sam, we are here. We are waiting for those phones to ring. I know Sam has that lofty goal of $150,000, but we're getting close, slowly but surely. Like we've said before, it takes $700 to send one of our veterans to Washington, D.C. And just a little while ago, I was talking to a few of them that were here, and they were really emotional, kind of talking about how important it was for them to be able to see the monuments in Washington, D.C., the World War II monument, the Women's Monument. It was really important and exciting for all of them. So Sam and Don, I think you have some special guests with you. I'll send it back to you for a second.
We do have some special guests. Of course, our most special guests are our veterans. We'll talk to them in just a minute. But Sam, we've got some friends here from the Red Claws in Portland.
We've got Crusher here, and we've got Evans. And so December 5th, they are having at the Red Claws an honor flight main night. So what is this night all about?
Well, we're very excited about it, Sam. It's Aerospace Night, we're calling it, but the real beneficiary of the night will be Honor Flight. FMI, a company out of Biddeford, been around for 50 years, celebrating their 50th anniversary. They've come alongside the Red Claws to sponsor this night. Proceeds from the night, proceeds from the 50-50 raffle at the game will all go to Honor Flight. So we're very excited about it. Going to be wearing special uniforms and everything.
Wow, that's awesome. I know we were talking too that you guys have had players before that were active military. You have active military in your family.
Correct.
So this is a special night for you guys.
Yeah, it's really important to the Red Claws. You know, a couple of years back we had a player, Ella Ellis, who was an active military member in the Army. He's the first player from Army to play professional basketball in 50 years. And he played for the Red Claws until he was deployed. So it's something that the Red Claws have been involved in for a while now. Personally, my brother's an active military in the Air Force. He's an F-22 fighter pilot, so we're very proud of him. My father-in-law was a Vietnam veteran as well. So yeah, it's very important to the Red Claws, and we're excited for December 5th.
Absolutely, and thank them for their service.
Right. And Crusher is as well, right?
Right.
Crusher's always ready to go.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you
very, very much.
Yeah, and all of these efforts, we mentioned earlier that Eldridge Lumber is a great supporter of Honor Flight Maine. They had a fire at their lumberyard this morning, so they've been tied up with that and weren't able to be here and join us, but thank them for their support. Absolutely. And so many other businesses, some of which we'll be talking with later in the day. The donations you make, $700, sends another Maine veteran on an Honor Flight Maine trip to Washington, D.C. And it has great meaning, as we've talked to veterans about over the months about this. So we thank all of you for the support so far. Hope more of you will be able to join us. You can call our volunteers here. You can also go online to honorflightmaine.org and make a donation that way. We ought to talk with some of our veterans.
Yes.
Let's
do
go.
it.
Go to it.
Want to go here?
Go for it.
All right. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi. How you guys doing?
Great.
All right. So I'm guessing you guys have all been on the trip?
Yes.
Okay. Whoever wants to jump in. What was the most special part of the trip for you?
Speeding along the road.
Speeding along the road?
Speeding along the road,
Yeah.
yes.
Did you have a favorite memorial that you saw?
No, I like them all.
Yeah. What was special about it?
State police escort. Nice thing to have.
Absolutely. How about you?
The Vietnam Memorial, because my wife's nephew was killed in Vietnam. So it was a very moving experience, and we were trying to find the name, and we did with the help of a Korean woman whose parents were there during the war, and so she was giving of her time to help people there find the names, because she knew where they were, and she'd make a special nameplate on cardboard for us.
Wow.
And so that was really special.
You know, and we always hear too about the connections that you make on trips like this. Sometimes it's with other service members, but sometimes it could just be a complete stranger, like that at the memorial.
Right, and we had special, with all of us, there was us three plus three more, all from Granite Hill Estates in Waterville, in in Manchester. Boy.
One of those places.
Fifth time's the charm.
Places up there. And so it was great having the six of us together,
Yeah.
but then being with another 40 others was fantastic. The trip is a trip of a lifetime, that's for sure.
That's what we keep hearing over and over again. How about you, Charles?
Well, there were so many things that I liked that, but the impression, the biggest impression I had was one incident, and I happened to take pictures of it.
Goodness.
And we were all in wheelchairs,
Yep.
and the honor flight just was so perfect. We all had wheelchairs, and they pushed us around.
So who's in this photo right here?
Well, in this fall, I don't know who they are.
Oh, you don't know who they
I
are.
don't know who they are. It was a woman with, I guess, her husband or her brother, and they just thanked me for my service.
Oh.
And then later on in the trip, she came over to me and put her arm around my shoulder. And I didn't realize it, but I was told that her grandfather died in World War II. Her father died in Vietnam, and I must have been a grandfather figure because as I saw this picture, she was crying, and she hugged me, and that was my most moving things.
Because it's special for you, but it's special for other people who are there too.
Yeah, one year I was a kid, 17 years old. Next, I was graduated from high school. Next month, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, in boot camp, learning to be a combat air crewman. Little did I know that so many years later, I'm now going to be 93 in 2 weeks, that I'm having an honor flight here. I just can't believe this. And I just thank these folks so much. They just were outstanding.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service. And I'm glad you could go. Henry, did you have a favorite part?
Yes, I would not have been able to see what I saw if it had not been for the honor flight. And it's one of the great experiences of my life. My son David pushed me around. We were all in wheelchairs, and he took a lot of pictures and put them on a flash drive, and we showed them at the Granite Hill that had a room full of ladies and people. Wow. And what I said then, the thing that surprised me most when I was in Italy, there was a battalion of Nisi, second-generation Japanese, and they had more presidential unit citations and medals than any outfit in all the wars of the United States. Wow. And that really impressed me, and I knew a couple of those guys that they never mentioned that their parents were in intern camps, and that's one of the paradoxes that I remember about mostly, and which I've met them in Italy. And I'm really thankful for Honor Flight.
What was it like for you to be able to do this with your son?
What was that again?
What was it? How was it to do this with your son?
Oh, well, pretty good.
Could have been better, or?
Another thing, we were driving along and he almost bumped into a lady, and I said, "You better be careful with that." And then he said, "You know who she is?" And she looked down at me, and it was my niece. And I didn't recognize it. I hadn't seen her for so many years. And that was a meeting there. She lived close to Washington, D.C. Then I got a feeling when we were driving around with all the police cars and the motorcycle escorts, and I said, everybody must think this is awful important.
Well, it is. It is. It's super important. Thank you. So sorry as I'm down here talking to them. Thank you for your service. Yes. But I mean, this is just, this shows you how special these trips are.
What a great example of what these flights mean to our veterans, what the experience does. You're helping more of them share that experience. Let's go up. We can't forget about Jackie and our crew up in Bangor. Jackie, I'm sure you've heard some stories up there.
I have. A lot of these veterans are so thankful to be given the opportunity to go out on honor flight. And, it's so awesome because these volunteers are helping make it happen. A lot of them have been here since like 4:30 this morning, some a little bit later, but still all day. They've still all been here all day, working tirelessly to raise money to send veterans to Washington, D.C. Right here is Julie Hicks. And what makes you volunteer?
The love of my veterans. That's give me the freedom to do everything I get to do every day.
Are you involved in a lot of different veteran organizations?
I'm involved in a few different ones. My main one is Patriot Riders of America, Maine Chapter 3, which we do things with Honor Flight of Maine. We go down to Portland, welcome them home, just to see their faces. They deserve that welcome home, every single one of them.
And you said your 14-year-old son's favorite event of the year is what?
Grandson, his favorite event to go to is the Honor Flight event and meet the veterans as they come off the plane.
Why does he love that so much?
because they talk to him. He gets to interact with them. He can see that they smile. He can see what it means to them. If they cry, he has cried. He goes, does that make me a wimp? No.
Definitely doesn't make him a wimp. Definitely awesome to be able to support our veterans. And we're excited to continue to do that all day. Let's get those phone lines ringing. We're almost at $70,000 so far. And like we've said time and time again, it's $700 to send one veteran to Washington, D.C. in order for them to see their national monuments. So it's so exciting and so important. Sam and Don, I'll send things back to you in Portland.
Thank you very much, Jackie. We've got one phone being answered right now.
We need them all.
We need more phones to ring. Please give us a call to make your pledge. You can also do it online, and doesn't have to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Can be $5, $10, $25. All of it makes a difference to help get more of our veterans to share this experience with Honor Flight Maine. Speaking of which, before we go, I want to give a shout out and a hello to a great friend of Honor Flight Maine, Del Gendron from Lewiston. He's in the hospital right now, or otherwise would be here. World War II vet himself. And Del, get better quickly, and thanks for your service too.
Absolutely. So again, let's get these phones ringing. While we can, we want to raise at least $150,000.
Yep.
Come on, call people.
Come on. We need to get people on.
Thank you to everyone who's donated. The phones are open until 7:30.
Thanks very much.
We'll
We'll be
talk to you guys
here
soon.
all afternoon.
Right now from the Texas-Mexico border. Also tonight.
I've seen it on TV, but it's much, much larger and more real and true life.
And giving our veterans a chance to see the war memorials in their honor in Washington. We're in the midst of our Honor Flight Maine telethon tonight. The news starts right now.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Cindy Williams, in for Lindsay.
And I'm Lee Nelson. Thanks for joining us. In the news this Thursday evening, another influx of asylum seekers is headed to Portland. Now, over the summer, you'll remember, the city saw nearly 450 people come. And at first, they stayed at the Portland Expo. They had to be out of the Expo by August 15th because, of course, the Red Claws basketball team needed to start practicing. But still, more than 200 of those people seeking asylum stayed in Maine after that deadline.
Most of the people who arrived during the summer originally came from the Congo or Angola. They're here searching for a better life. News Center Maine's Rosalind Flaherty has more on where this next wave of asylum seekers is coming from and how many are expected. Roz?
31 asylum seekers from Africa will arrive here in Portland tomorrow morning. They are traveling from the Texas border. This time they won't be staying at the Portland Expo. Individuals will stay at the Oxford Street Shelter. Families will overflow to the Chestnut Street Shelter, and if need be, more will go to the YMCA. The city manager does want to stress the city does have the resources and funds from donations and the state to handle this. He says many of them at the Texas border want to come to Portland because he says the city is seen as a welcoming community.
That what the amazing work that the city and our partners and the community did over the course of the summer to provide shelter, food for those 450 plus, I think certainly resonates as opposed to what maybe other cities have done.
Now, since they are using the Oxford Street Shelter, the city manager says no one will be turned away, including the homeless. We will have much more of this coming up at 6.
All right, interesting. Roz, thank you.
Good, Roz. Thank you very much. So we know you've been watching us all day, so we know you know we're right in the middle of our annual Honor Flight Maine telethon. This is a really easy opportunity for you to help veterans fly down to Washington, D.C. to see the nation's war memorials.
We've been up there visiting with them today. They are so many wonderful people. Honor Flight Maine provides an all-inclusive trip for these veterans. It costs about $700 per veteran to send them on this trip. We have people working on the phones in Portland and Bangor, so keep them busy. At last check, we have raised over $77,000. We will keep you updated throughout the evening. The telethon ends after tonight's episode of 207.
All right, so we have a lot of news to get to this half hour, but we got some weather to get to too.
Yeah, especially because it was so nice out there today for a change. Keith, what's the deal?
You know, I got an email today, which normally I just delete them because I assumed they were going to be bad. This one was, but it had a point. It said that we complain about all facets of weather, and I was like, you know what? The three of us do, actually. So the sun tonight. Okay, fine. Lee and I are willing to take responsibility for this. But it's cloudy. Some people like this. There's a name for it. I forget what it is. Don't say it. I know what you're thinking. It's upper 40s today. It was, by most standards, a nice day today. Our average high is 46, which shows you how far below average we've been sitting, because today felt anomalously warm, and it really wasn't when you look at the statistics. Nice and clear, but here comes some clouds that will start rolling in through the evening tonight. And so the meteor showers tonight, 11:50, midnight or so. And the cloud cover does not look super promising for that. Unfortunately, it looks like most of the state will be cloudy with the exception of extreme down east Maine. Couple of showers overnight tonight. And by midday tomorrow, guys, we should be back into the low 50s. It won't be as sunny as today, but it will at least stay on that mild note to end the week.
All right, very good, Keith. Thank you so much. Central Maine Power has reportedly gotten approval from regulators to shut off the power to 50 customers who have not paid their bills because they are disputing the amounts they were charged.
This just the latest wrinkle in an ongoing dispute between the company and customers whose bills increased dramatically after CMP changed its billing system back in October 2 years ago, just before a bitterly cold winter. State law says a utility cannot shut off a customer's power between November 15th and April 15th, the coldest months, without approval from the Public Utilities Commission. Now, we spoke with CMP spokesperson Catherine Hartnett this afternoon. She says she's not sure if any of those notices have been sent out, and that people disputing high bills who have contacted the company to set up a payment plan need not worry. Other news, a longtime Cumberland County corrections officer who told police he fell asleep at the wheel before a crash in July, a crash that killed a 9-year-old girl, is now facing a manslaughter charge.
Kenneth Morang was indicted this month by a Cumberland County grand jury on the single count in connection with the July 21st crash on Route 25 in Gorham. That crash killed Raylyn Bell. Today, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office says that it is in negotiations with a sleep deprivation expert and plans to have him make a presentation to employees and union representatives to not only discuss the dangers around sleep deprivation, but also show how sleep deprivation affects each employee individually. Investigators tonight are trying to determine what sparked a big fire overnight at a lumber yard in Portland.
Yeah, it broke out around midnight at Eldridge Lumber and Hardware. It's on Presumpscot Street, and the glow of that fire could be seen for miles. Fire crews rushed to the scene. They worked for hours to get the fire under control and try and prevent it from spreading to the nearby buildings there. So the barn on the property, filled with lumber, is a total loss. Its contents obviously perfect fuel for a fire. Fortunately, nobody was injured. No employees were there at the time. There is a multi-state E. coli outbreak, and the Centers for Disease Control says contaminated salad products are to blame. The greens are packed by Missay Bay LLC out of New Jersey, and there are actually 22 states included in this recall. Maine is among them. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says the salads were produced between October 14th and 16th, so they've actually already expired, but you might still have them in your fridge. They are packaged mostly as salad bowls. There are 38 varieties. They have a USDA inspection mark that says EST 18502B, and we do have these details online. And if you have this product, throw it away immediately, or at the very least, take it back to the store.
Scary business.
Yeah, all right, we're going to take a quick break here. Coming up, a Maine-made ship making an appearance in a very popular TV show.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And we've got more telethon coverage coming up. We're going to be talking with Maine State Police about why they chose Honor Flight Maine for this year's commemorative license plate. Stay with us.
Yeah, just phone.
Tell them that I'm going to unplug and come plug back in.
Hey guys, we're gonna unplug.
Einstein's called black magic. It is not magic.
Contrary.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for your service.
I think they have one story ahead of us when we come back from commercial, but I'll tell you when they're coming to us.
Okay. You all mic'd up, ready to go?
Yeah. All righty. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you can use it.
I'll give it back, I promise.
No, that's okay.
Consolation prize for dealing with us.
No, not true.
Let's double check your audio.
Hey guys, they want to make sure my audio works after they unplugged. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. I feel like there's a lot of people watching me do a live stream right now.
I feel like an injured quarterback, like launching.
So the phones are still open for News Center Maine's annual Honor Flight Telethon.
Yes, indeed. News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry is holding down the fort, as we like to say, at our Bangor phone bank. So how's it going, Jackie?
Hey, Lee and Cindy, it's going good. It looks like the phones are picking up. A lot of these awesome volunteers have actually been here since we opened up at 4:30 this morning. But now I'm joined with some special guests, Maine State Police Colonel Cody and Sergeant Turkett, and they're going to tell me a little bit about these license plates. So you guys have commemorative plates. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Each year, the state police partners with the Maine State Troopers Foundation to commission limited edition plates to honor and bring attention to a Maine-based charity. And this year, during the month of November, troopers are running license plates to bring attention and honor Honor Flight Maine.
And why did you guys choose Honor Flight this year?
Well, you know, there's a lot of great organizations, nonprofits in Maine, and this year was kind of a no-brainer when we started realizing the great things that Honor Flight Maine does for our veterans, getting them down to D.C. To see the monuments. It was really a no-brainer for us to choose them this year.
Have you guys been able to meet any of the veterans that have gone on Honor Flight?
We actually have. We were in Portland earlier today and had a chance to have some conversation with them. And we know for many of them, they'd have no other way to get down there on their own without this organization stepping up and getting them down there.
And what is it like to kind of see how emotional they get?
Well, you know, it just goes to show how proud they are that they're part of a bigger organization, which is the United States military, and being a veteran. And it's kind of like, as the movie goes, Band of Brothers, and to get down there and see what this country has done to honor them, even though it's a pretty small token of appreciation, at least they get to get down there and see that.
And you guys have some vets that work with you. Is that kind of part of this?
Sure. I think we have a lot of veterans on our agency. We have many members that are still active in the reserves and have been deployed, some of them many times. And so at the end of the month, after the plates have been run, we collect them. They'll be presented to Honor Flight Maine, where they'll be auctioned, and the proceeds for that auction will go to Honor Flight Maine.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And like we've said all day, $700 gets one of our veterans to Washington, D.C. on Honor Flight. So the phones are ringing. Let's keep them ringing. Lee and Cindy, I'll send it back to you for now.
All right, Jackie, thank you so much. And we're going to be hearing from our crew working on the telethon in Portland. They'll have a story about the last Honor Flight Maine trip that was taken, and our workers are still busy taking your phone calls.
But there's people who'd like a phone call too.
Yeah.
So please help out. Hey, and Keith returns with his forecast right after the break.
Good reason.
I know that guy. Yours is about Honor Flight too?
What?
Mine's about Honor Flight. No.
Yes, we've got you.
I cannot hear you. Just kidding.
She is a little snappy. Or snippy, as my mother would have said.
Snippy. A scripted toss.
Yes.
Okay. So do you want me to start off with
Sure.
where we're at and then you can take over? 77176.
All right, we're back. It's time to talk about the weather. It was a nice day. I am not complaining about today, even a little bit.
Wow.
Very defensive about this.
Yeah.
See, I'm willing to take it.
Yes.
I think that we like a specific kind of weather. It's actually sun, because I'll do sun and cold.
Yeah, I will
Or
too.
sun and. But
I'll take sun and cold.
No,
over
I think it's even more
warmth and rain.
specific than that. We like the right kind of weather.
Yes, right. I think that's
brother,
that's
you
pretty
guys.
accurate. Just doubling down on
Jeez.
this. I'll forward you the email. So it was like it was nice. It was just like, hey, by the way, people try to butter you up sometimes. They say something not true first, like I think you're great at the weather, lie, and then they slip that in underneath it. All right, we got up to 49 today in Portland. Our average is 46. So as I mentioned, because of the pattern we've been in, not only cloud cover but temperatures, it felt really, really nice, unusually warm today, but it really wasn't. It was within a couple of degrees of average. Visible satellite was clean except for the mountains where we did have considerable cloudiness today in parts of down East Maine. But a lot of us saw our first sunny day in a while, starting to cloud back up though as things shift in from the west. And I mentioned the meteor shower that will occur tonight around midnight, and it does not look super promising for cloud cover. This is midnight tonight. It's really only down east and maybe northern Aroostook County, which actually is the best chance of seeing anything. So keep an eye out for that, but there's a lot of clouds elsewhere. An isolated shower, even a freezing drizzle possible late tonight, early tomorrow morning. But we get a lot of these showers through by mid-morning. The middle of the day is decent, temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s, and then we drag the cold front through and cool back down on Friday night. Saturday looks good, sunny from start to finish, but not particularly warm, only in the upper 30s to low 40s. Then we're watching that storm on Sunday, which has been a difficult storm to track, and it looks like things have started to solidify now, finally, which is good. So here we are Saturday night, we start to cloud up, and then on Sunday, this is noon, starting to get light rain into the coastline and a little freezing rain inland. Most of this, though, is a rain, snow, pretty clean changeover. So by the afternoon, it is snowing inland. It's cold rain along the coast that continues through the evening. Not heavy stuff, but persistent through Monday, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and then it moves out. So I took the first shot at a snowfall map, recognizing that it's on the early side. Cold November rain along the coastline, 1 to 3 inches of slush for Augusta, Lewiston, and then more powdery into the mountains, and then 3 to 6 is your bullseye up into Presque Isle, Holton as well. And that will go through Monday morning. So we split the weekend. Looks nice on Monday and Tuesday. No big travel problems. Of course, people travel a lot on Wednesday. It's not the busiest travel day. We'll say that, but that's statistically not true. But it is a busy day, and I don't see any problems for traveling around for Thanksgiving. It doesn't look especially nice, but nothing major.
You'll get where you're going.
So yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
It is time now to check back in with our Honor Flight Maine telethon going on right now.
Yeah, these trips to the memorials in Washington mean so much to the veterans and their families. Samantha York and Don Kerrigan have seen the effect these trips have firsthand, and they're here now to talk more about that experience. Hey, guys.
Hi there.
Hey guys, yeah, so we have had volunteers here all day answering the phones. And okay, are you ready for how much we've raised so far? Can I get a little bell roll, maybe? There we go. $77,000 so far. That is amazing.
That's great.
We want to raise $150,000 though, right, Don?
Yes, we do. That means we've got to keep these phones busy right straight through news time, right straight through to the end of 2:07. Thank you for your generosity so far, and we will trust everybody to keep those phones ringing. Absolutely. You know, the Honor Flight trips to Washington, D.C. are a remarkable experience for everyone who gets to go. A number of the veterans have told us it's a trip of a lifetime, and for all of them, the donations that you make to the Honor Flight Maine telethon will help let more veterans share that experience.
And veterans as well, because we're going to ask for your cooperation in a lot of ways.
The logistics and planning are remarkable, but ultimately it's all about the veterans. On this trip, about 40 Maine vets from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Cold War. Some who saw combat, some who did not. All who served. Their first surprise, even though they know it's coming, is the amazing greeting they get in Baltimore. Just coming off the plane, they get a hero's welcome.
World War II, the greatest generation.
Thank you, man. That was amazing.
And it sets the stage for the whole weekend. Because while the idea of Honor Flight is to take veterans to see their memorials, it's also about giving them a chance to be seen and be celebrated. And to feel part of history. At Fort McHenry, to hold the replica of the flag that inspired the Star-Spangled Banner, underneath the pole where that flag flew.
The names of famous battles and theaters of war are also there.
And then to Washington with a motorcycle escort to the World War II Memorial. There, the Maine veterans again feel the public's appreciation for their service. And see the large and sweeping monument to the millions who served and the 400,000 who died.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
These young kids, come on over here.
I've seen it on TV, but it's much, much larger and more real and true life.
At Arlington, the Mainers paused to honor all those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and then to other memorials for other veterans. On this trip especially, a dozen who served in Vietnam, some still carrying scars, seen and unseen, from that combat.
Yeah, I got 27 friends on the wall. I'm lucky I'm not one of them. 5 of them from my high school.
But on Honor Flight trips, they are all veterans together, regardless of age or conflict or time served, all thanked and respected for their service. But even among the vets themselves, there is great respect for their elders.
Well, I think maybe we earned it. Got the people that saved the world, the World War II vets. Makes you feel like a really junior person to be around them right now.
Really?
And Korean, but the World War II vets that saved the world.
And here come our veterans. For all of us, it's a chance to honor and thank all of them who certainly earned it. And your donations to the telethon will help send more Maine veterans to Washington to share that experience.
Absolutely. And again, we've already raised $77,000 for this. Thank you so much to everyone who has donated, but we're going to have the phone banks open until 7:30 here and in Bangor. So please keep them ringing, keep donating. And thank you guys. Lee and Cindy, back to you.
All right, guys, thank you so much. While we are talking about war heroes and our military history, here's something pretty cool.
Very cool. A Navy ship built in Bath and named after a heroic veteran can now be seen on one of Amazon Prime's most popular shows. Last year, the political thriller Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan filmed scenes aboard the USS Rafael Peralta. The ship's name honors the Marine who was killed in Iraq by covering a live grenade with his body. That's back in 2004. The ship was christened 2 years ago. The show stars John Krasinski, best known for his comedic role in The Office as Jim Halpert. The episodes, including the ship, are now streaming on the second season of the show, so check it out.
We've got a lot more news ahead for you in the next half hour. Senator Susan Collins is called into a meeting with the president along with 7 other senators. This as the impeachment hearings continue in the U.S. House. So what was discussed and what wasn't? Plus, a car fire caught on camera. It was sparked by a cigarette. We'll tell you what happened to the driver. Those stories and a lot more coming up at 5:30.
And something fun for sure on Brain Drops with Keith coming up after the break.
So I'm not really into space, but I have been lately. Like, I've never wanted to be an
we've
astronaut.
had a lot of space stories. so-
Yeah, I don't know.
Premiered.
This was amazing. I saw this from NASA, and Hubble is studying a gamma ray burst with the highest energy ever seen in the universe. So this is what caught my eye, though. A few seconds of the gamma ray emitted more energy than the sun will provide over its entire 10 billion year life. So it's saying just a few seconds of this energy was more than that. Now, of course, this is a simulation, just to be clear on this.
Okay, I was wondering.
They take the images and what they know about it, and they try to make it a little bit sexier so we can perceive it. But gamma ray bursts are basically just explosions in atmospheres in universes that we don't know exactly where they come from all the time, but we know they emit a ton of energy. And so they picked up on one particular one. They named them. This was GRB something, I forget the number. And they measured the energy and found that it was the analogy
But it
that they
shoots
used.
like that? It's not like a uniform
Well,
explosion?
honestly, I'm not sure if it's this dramatically moving. This looks
Well.
like this. Okay, so let's go back to reality. This is what the Hubble actually saw.
Okay.
So there it is. How can I forget this name? GRB 1901114C.
Right.
Of course,
Oh,
Of course.
sure.
But so this is like its pixelated version, and then this is kind of the better resolution. But obviously they have many layers they put together, and they understand how these things move.
Okay.
But I always think whenever we do these space stories, they're extremely humbling in a number
always.
of ways. Like, what is that, and how could anything be stronger than the entire life of the sun?
Right. It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy. And yet it is true.
Yes.
More news starts right now.
Coming up next on News Center Maine, Senator Susan Collins is among a group of senators to meet with President Trump today. We'll find out what was discussed. Also ahead.
From beginning to end, I was treated like a queen.
Veterans from Maine talk about their trip to Washington with Honor Flight Maine and what the whole experience means to them.
And it's up. A gigantic tree is harvested and hoisted in Portland, and it didn't have far to travel. The news starts right now.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Cindy Williams.
And I'm Lee Nelson. So more asylum seekers are coming to Portland. Over the summer, the city saw more than 450 people come. This time it's 31.
The city says it is prepared to welcome them for now, but they are hoping that the community comes out to help. News Center Maine's Rosalind Flaherty has more.
The city of Portland is prepared to welcome more asylum seekers. 31 of them will arrive Friday morning from the Texas border.
We are certainly are seen as a welcoming community.
A more manageable number than the 450 refugees who came to the city this past summer. Also different this time, they won't be staying at the Portland Expo. Individuals will stay at the Oxford Street shelter, families will go to the Chestnut Street shelter, and if need be, there's even more overnight space at the YMCA.
With the Y, if we do operationalize that, they have to leave in the mornings because the Y has to use their facility. So that's a major difference.
City Manager John Jennings says it will be a challenge trying to find them somewhere to go during the day, especially in the cold. He hopes community partners step up to help.
Cities simply can't do everything for everyone. I mean, hopefully everyone recognizes that.
Preble Street will be welcoming those who need something to eat. The shelter says it has enough food for right now.
We are ready to go right back into the effort that we'd been producing before.
Jennings wants to assure people the city is not overwhelmed by the latest influx. He says the city has the resources and funds from donations and the state to handle this.
There was a lot of anxiety created in the city over the summer, and it's manageable right now.
In Portland, Rosalind Flaherty, News Center, Maine.
One more thing about this too, city officials say they would prefer people to not make donations of clothing at this time, because if they do have to go to the YMCA, they would have to take everything with them when they leave for the day.
Today was the 5th day of public impeachment hearings. David Holmes, a U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, and Fiona Hill, former White House national security aide, testified. Meanwhile, Senator Susan Collins met with President Trump and other lawmakers at the White House. Collins was one of 8 Republican senators who spoke with the president about issues such as prescription drug costs, regulating vaping products, and the impact of tariffs on Maine's lobster industry. As for the impeachment inquiry, Collins told reporters she would not reveal the details of what the president said. However, the senator did say, quote, he did not ask anything of anyone. There was no procedure discussed. Senator Collins has avoided talking about the details of the inquiry because she would be serving as a juror if there is indeed a trial in the Senate. We've been talking about it all day, but we don't get tired of it. We've been asking our viewers to call in and make a donation to Honor Flight Maine. This organization sends veterans on trips to Washington, D.C. for the chance to see the war memorials built in their honor.
Yeah, and this is our 4th telethon for Honor Flight Maine. In the first 3 years, we raised almost $500,000, enough to send 629 veterans on this trip.
This is a fundraiser everyone at News Center Maine feels very passionate about, and we want to be able to keep sending Maine veterans on these trips of a lifetime.
We do indeed. So we have phone banks set up in Portland and Bangor. So call and donate right now. And without further ado, let's check in with Don Kerrigan and Samantha York. They're in Portland.
Hi, folks.
Hey, guys.
Your message just nailed it.
Absolutely. And guess what? We have already raised $77,000. Do we have more? I'm sorry.
This just in.
This just in. $82,000. That is amazing.
Good job.
Thank you guys so much. Our goal is to raise $150,000. Oh, it's really my goal. To raise $150,000. It's cost $700 to send one veteran to go. So every donation counts. And we do have a challenge from Ronald Moody. He just donated $50. He's challenging all Vietnam veterans to make a similar pledge.
All right, Robert. Good. And we know a lot of them will. You know, Honor Flight Maine began as a way to take World War II veterans to see their new memorial in Washington, D.C. It's expanded over time to include all veterans from recent conflicts. But for the World War II veterans, there are fewer and fewer of them. So Honor Flight is really trying to get as many of them to Washington as it can. We met one of those World War II veterans on our October trip to D.C. Very grateful to finally get the chance to go.
And I decided that this is time to go, so I joined the Navy.
Robert Cady was just a boy of 17 when he left Wells High School.
I wasn't doing too good in school.
And signed up for the U.S. Navy. The country was at war, and he wanted to go.
Uncle Sam says, I want you.
Less than 6 months later, the boy from Wells was on a ship to England, part of the Navy Seabees, the construction battalion. Though Cady says he had been first assigned to dangerous minesweeper duty.
When they made the mistake and put us in the Seabees, that was all over with.
Was that good news?
Oh, yes. Yeah. We was all happy.
Once in Europe, he and about 100 other Seabees became truck drivers, hauling freight from Cherbourg in France across that country to Belgium and the front lines.
What are you hauling?
Ammunition, gasoline, K-rations, nice K-rations, and all kinds of supplies, parts for vehicles.
Traveling what they called the Red Ball Highway, where a steady parade of trucks kept the troops on the front supplied. They were tempting targets for the Germans, but Cady says he was never under fire.
You could hear bombs and stuff like that. Not constantly, but you could, every once in a while you could hear them, yeah.
Were you ever worried about that coming your way?
Yeah, a little bit. And that's on Shore Patrol. That's a picture of
He was like so many other soldiers and sailors, not frontline fighters, but critical to those who were. After the surrender, Cady was sent to Paris in the Shore Patrol, the Navy police, then to the port of Le Havre, where there was more shore duty, and finally a ship home. Pier 19 was New York and home. Back in Wells, Robert Cady started a business, married May, and raised a family. May passed away 3 years ago after 67 years of marriage. At 93, he's still active, still driving every day. And so this year, Robert's daughter-in-law, Donna, finally convinced him to go to Washington with Honor Flight Maine, where we met at the World War II Memorial.
He didn't think it was a big deal that he was in World War II.
Donna says she thought he was wrong.
You think it's a big deal? With
I do think it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. That's why we're all here.
The memorial is about people just like Robert Cady, 16 million of them, regular young Americans, many of them kids, who answered the call to arms. They came home and built lives, families, and rebuilt their own country.
You never thought you'd see this?
No, I didn't think I'd live long enough. We just had that big picture taken. And the fellow sitting beside me looked at me and said, "Do you think that you and I would ever saw this?" I said, "No."
But they did. And for Robert Cady and all the others, it's a celebration of lives well lived and of what they did all those years ago.
Veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Cold War. That's what we honor, is that kind of service. Your donations will help more of them be able to get there and be part of that whole Honor Flight experience. Thanks for what you're doing so far. Keep it coming.
Absolutely. And we've already raised more than $82,000. Thank you again so much for everybody who has already donated. Again, we're going to be taking donations through 7:30. I do want to mention, so Ken and Gail Allen just called. They just donated $700 in honor of both fathers who served during World War II.
Great.
Just amazing. So thank you so much. We're going to keep you guys posted throughout the evening.
Yep.
Lee and Cindy.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you guys.
Thank you so much. We also have a phone bank in Bangor right now. So keep these folks busy for us, will ya? Call in to make a donation. Costs $700 to send just one veteran on this trip. And we're going to check in with our Jackie Mundry at the phone bank just a little bit later on. By the way, the number to call, 855-875-4328. It's toll free. We're going to step away for a quick break, but coming up, dramatic video from Connecticut.
Yeah, a man is dragged from his car as it explodes in flames. We'll tell you the whole story coming up. It is time for your evening rush now. This Thursday, the decision is in, and it's not good news for Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garrett. Garrett's indefinite suspension has been upheld by an appeals board. It was issued by the NFL following last Thursday's brawl against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So at minimum, he's out for 6 games for using his helmet as a weapon there. Garrett now has to meet with the commissioner's office before he could possibly be reinstated next season. Dramatic video from Connecticut. A lit cigarette sparks a raging fire inside this car. Surveillance video showing the incident unfolding as the cigarette actually ignited fumes from a portable gas tank that was in the car. A passerby, though, came and helped the man inside. Luckily, he was able to reach in, unbuckle the driver from his seatbelt. The man in the car is recovering tonight. He does have burns to his face and hands. And 3 in 10 workers say they are late to work at least once a month. And True Blue has released some kind of laugh-out-loud excuses for some of the workers and what they gave because they were late. One of them was, "I thought today was Saturday, but it was Tuesday." Career experts say you need to get organized. Lay everything out before you go to bed. Don't hit that snooze button and avoid the crazy excuses. That is your evening rush for Thursday, November 21.
Not a word. There is another storm on the way for the weekend. Keith Carson gives us a glimpse of what to expect coming up. Plus,
just being a veteran, I like that. That's special.
our Honor Flight Maine Telethon is on. Call now to make a donation. We'll check in next to see how things are going at our Bangor phone bank.
I am sorry.
Honor Flight Maine Telethon offers you a chance to donate money to send veterans to our nation's capital.
Right before the break, we heard about a couple calling in with $700. That's important because that is what it costs to send just one veteran on this trip to see the war memorials in Washington. Every donation, though big or small, makes a huge difference.
And we have wonderful volunteers working our phone banks in Bangor and Portland today. We want to check in with Jackie Mundry now in Bangor to see how things are going there. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, Lee and Cindy, things are going great. We have a new total, more than $86,000. I would ask for a drum roll, but they're all busy taking your phone calls. And this also just in, we have a few challenges. There was a man that called that wanted to challenge the Masons here in Maine, the Maine Masons organization, as well as an organization, the Disabled American Veterans Department of Maine. They donated $1,500 and they want to challenge all other veteran organizations to donate as well, because it's so important to be able to send these veterans to Washington, D.C. Speaking of veterans, let's go talk to one of them. This is Crystal Hamilton. She has this shirt that made me want to talk to her. She is the veteran, not the veteran's wife. Can you tell me a little bit about your time in the service?
I went in 1980 and I got out in 1982. I had known my husband before, but married him while I was in the service, and he was not in the service. So he was my dependent wife. And he traveled all around with me, and he was a good sport.
What has the phone bank been like for you tonight?
It was very quiet this afternoon, but it's been back-to-back busy tonight. But we still need more people to call in with those pledges.
What do you say to people watching at home to get them to donate?
I'd say this is a great program. It supports people that have given us the freedoms that we enjoy today, and it's all for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thanks for volunteering your time. You heard her. There is still time to donate. 7:30 is when our phone banks close, so you can donate. Until then, I think we're just getting a new total. Let me look. All right, 99,000. More than that is our new total. Can we get a round of applause? Awesome. So keep calling. Like I said, phone banks are open until 7:30, and we're excited to take your calls. Lee and Cindy.
Wow, that's
Jackie.
amazing.
Yes, thank you. So it's been jumping during the broadcast.
Sure.
It's really, really great.
Thank you so
we
much.
also do have volunteers working hard, the phone bank in Portland tonight. So pick up that phone and donate what you can. Every donation helps. And the phones are going to be up through 2:07 tonight, so for a little while longer. And again, that number is 855-875-4328.
Well, this was a day to celebrate. After days and days of rain, we finally saw the sun again.
Yeah,
Loved
it was a good day today. And next couple of days are overall nice. And then
Good.
Sunday, not really. By the way, if you want to call in and talk to Lee later, you're going to get on there, right?
I'm going to be right
Heading
after,
up at 6
after
o'clock,
this
so.
broadcast.
He won't even answer my call, so this is going to be a really special
He
moment.
avoids them.
Well, once you block the number, you don't have to worry
you don't
about
see
that.
them anymore. That's what it is. High of 49 today in Portland, 45 in Rockland. And it's interesting what the perception can be when it comes to weather, right? The perception is today was warm and sunny and nice, and it was just about average temperature-wise, but the sun made a big difference. The mountains and parts of down East Maine did get stuck in the cloud cover, and so they got only into the 30s there. Here comes some more cloud cover, though, and so tonight we go cloudy with a couple of showers, maybe even some freezing drizzle out there with a system moving through. Watching the meteor shower situation tonight, and it doesn't look great. A lot of clouds out there, temperatures in the mid-30s. Here the rain showers are very light. Some of us don't even get any. And some of that will be freezing drizzle into the interior by early tomorrow morning. I don't think it'll be a major factor. By the middle of the day tomorrow, we should clear out to a decent day. Temperatures right around 50 degrees. Couple of showers still out there, but a lot of us dry. And that will continue through the afternoon and into the evening. And then we start cooling down. That's a cold front on the back end then. So temperatures drop into the 20s and even some teens. And Saturday is not an especially warm day, but it is sunny. We get to 38 to 42, should cover most of the state. It will be the brighter of the 2 weekend days, though, by far. Then here comes our next storm system. We'll switch over to a different computer model to talk about that. This is the European model, and the clouds start rolling in. And then by midday, we've got some rain moving into southern coastal Maine and a little freezing drizzle. That changes over to just straight rain snow line And it is basically in Lewiston and Augusta and Waterville where the snow is, and then it's cold rain along the coastline. That continues through the evening. The heaviest snow will be towards Millinocket, where it will snow through much of the evening there, and then eventually move out on Monday, and things in better shape for midday on Monday. I did not mean to skip that map. Although it is interesting, guys, that, we talked about how the computer models are just all over the place. So I make this map, and I'm like, okay, it's a little early, no big deal. The American model, the GFS model, latest run just came in 10 minutes ago. Kicked the whole storm out to sea. If this winter is going to be like this, it's going to be a bad time. But we're going to keep it where it is. I like the Euro more than the GFS. That's always been the case. So, but if you want a dry day, then root for me to be horribly, terribly wrong on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday look decent after that. But I'll tell you, this shoulder season, I don't know what's going on with the models, but like I said, it can't go this way into the winter because we'll be run out of town more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, you will be.
Right.
We'll be fine.
We got a lot more local news coming up for you in the next half hour.
Yeah, Pat's here in the studio with the latest on what's coming up. Hey, Pat.
Hey, Lee and Cindy. Dozens of people who are still contesting their CMP bills could have their power shut off this winter. Utility regulators have given the company the green light to pull the plugs. The city of Portland is preparing for more asylum seekers. Officials say there shouldn't be problems finding them places to stay overnight, but staying warm during the days may be more challenging. Also tonight,
we've been sold out every month since we got started.
It's a good problem to have. Vivian Lee checks in with a company in Sanford that's making use of sawmill byproducts to create a renewable energy source. It's all coming up in a few minutes at 6 o'clock. News Center Maine at 5:30 is back after this.
It's not an edict, it's just what's been in some scripts.
Yeah. The city can call it what it wants. We're calling it what it is.
Right. Yeah, we're good with...
We get so much crap when we call it a holiday tree, like so much crap. Sarah, do you have a total? Uh-oh.
Oh. Here's my idea. Let her deal with that.
Yeah.
Of course. She, okay. 90. Let her. Oh, because we're not going back to her.
Yeah, this is us having to read that, so handle it how you'd like.
So.
I'll go with that.
Oh God, I thought that was our open. Where'd she get 99,000 then? How do you mistakenly?
What's the figure now?
It's 86.
Oh.
But she just said, "Hey, we're at 99," and we were like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, I know. We're celebrating. Some people would call it to rescind their pledges.
God only knows. Well, it's been on the calendar, but it still sneaks up on us. The holiday season, it is here, and the Christmas tree in Portland was cut down today in Deering Oaks Park, put on a flatbed, and carried right through town to Monument Square.
There, crews carefully lowered it into place as crowds looked on. This year's tree is huge. It's 55 feet tall and 30 feet wide. This is the first year the selected tree has been right near downtown.
You know, many of the trees we looked at this year were either close to the wires or in backyards, and this tree here in Deering Oaks was going to be doing some tree work to it anyways because it's so close to the field and the light tower, so it became a good tree for us.
And this is a great experience to see something like this. It's bigger than big.
That tree will be lit with more than 5,000 LED lights. He's going to like that, too.
Yeah, and as always, the tree lighting ceremony is set for not tomorrow, but next Friday, the day after Turkey Day.
That's right.
All right, we want to remind you one last time during this broadcast about our Honor Flight Maine telethon. Remember, it's $700 just to send one veteran on this trip down to Washington to see their war memorial. The cost covers everything, though, from travel to hotel rooms, meals. The phone lines will ring through 7:30 tonight.
And here's a look at how much we have raised so far. Well, I have a different figure. We keep getting different figures. $86,430. Thank you so much to all of you who have donated to a cause we here at News Center Maine just love. These guys are wonderful. All of these people involved are wonderful.
Absolutely.
So that's going to do it for News Center Maine at 5:30. Stay with us. A lot more local news right now.
Tonight on News Center Maine at 6.
Cities simply can't do everything for everyone. I mean, hopefully everyone recognizes that.
Portland is prepared to welcome more asylum seekers to the city, but officials hope community partners will step up to help. State utility regulators give the go-ahead for Central Maine Power to do winter service disconnects for dozens of people still disputing their bills. Also ahead.
This is a really nice diversification for all the mills that we work with, so we're just a part of their byproduct strategy.
A company with deep ties to the Maine forest industry is turning wood byproducts into renewable energy.
A little wind on Friday, but all eyes on a storm system for Sunday.
A state representative files a complaint against Maine's chief medical examiner over a job wanted ad that he's calling a sick joke. Good evening, I'm Pat Callahan.
And I'm Cindy Williams. Dr. Mark Flomenbaum has been the subject of intense scrutiny this year after he changed his opinion in a high-profile murder case, prompting a judge to declare a mistrial.
Now, a member of the legislature's Judiciary Committee has filed yet another complaint based on a tip he got last night. News Center Maine's Beth Brogan has the story.
It was this job posting from 2017 that led a Mid-Coast legislator on Thursday to file a complaint with Maine Attorney General Aaron Frey about Chief Medical Examiner Mark Flomenbaum. It was the third complaint he's filed this year about the same man. Wednesday night, Representative Jeffrey Evangelos, an independent legislator from Friendship, received a tip pointing him to a 2017 job posting for a deputy chief medical examiner in Maine. A posting Evangelos described as
shocking and sick content. It's the only way I can describe it. Whoever wrote this ad, if it is legitimate, it is sick, and and I have a copy of it here. But it makes jokes and references, jokes about decomposed bodies of Mainers. It makes reference to the fact that they're trying to sell the Maine as a great destination to come and work.
The ad first touts what you usually find in a job posting, a winter mecca for skiers and snowmobilers, but then translates that to being a really short season of decomposed bodies. Another selling point noted that our vast waterways meant that many bodies would float to New Hampshire or Canada.
Anytime a family loses somebody, and that deceased person is subject to the findings of the medical examiner's office, here we have the professionals running that agency making jokes about deceased individuals.
After speaking with Evangelos, News Center Maine spoke with Nicole Sacra in the office of Maine Attorney General Aaron Frey, who confirmed that the ad was legitimate and posted by the state.
Frey's office declined to provide copies of Evangelos' complaints, citing a personnel matter. But Evangelos says his first complaint followed reports in the Portland Press-Herald about Flomenbaum's private consulting business and concerns that he was engaging in private business on state time. He subsequently filed a complaint about cases Flomenbaum consulted on in different states that Evangelos says have demolished his credibility, with repercussions for cases in Maine. Flomenbaum was fired from his position as chief medical examiner in Massachusetts after fundamental operational and administrative failures, including a missing body. During a 2016 manslaughter case in Connecticut, a judge instructed a jury to disregard his expert testimony as not credible. The Attorney General for the state of Connecticut subsequently wrote to Janet Mills, then the Maine Attorney General and now Governor, warning her of Flomenbaum's diminished credibility.
His credibility got demolished in this case. Maine criminal defense lawyers will become aware of this, and consequently they will be making motions in court to question the veracity of his testimony.
Most recently, a Bangor Daily News story called into question Flomenbaum's findings that a man who died while hiking the Appalachian Trail had been drinking. Forensic experts hired by the family, who said the man was diabetic, and the newspaper said that detectable alcohol is created as a body decomposes. Evangelos says, however, that any disciplinary action is up to the governor and the attorney general. In Augusta, Beth Brogan, News Center, Maine.
Representative Evangelos says he's been assured by Attorney General Frey that the investigation into his complaints is nearly complete. Calls and emails to Flomenbaum's office today were not returned. As for the Noah Gaston trial, the one in which Dr. Flomenbaum's change in testimony prompted that first mistrial, well, the jury went home today without yet reaching a verdict. Gaston is accused of murder and manslaughter in the death of his wife, whom he admitted shooting in their home in Windham in 2016. He claims he thought his wife was an intruder. Today, jurors asked to see the gun Gaston fired, as well as the mock-up of the stairwell where the shooting happened. Deliberations will resume tomorrow.
A longtime Cumberland County Corrections officer is facing a manslaughter charge tonight. Kenneth Morang was indicted this month by a Cumberland County grand jury on a single count in connection with the July 21st crash on Route 25 in Gorham. That crash killed this girl, 9-year-old Raylyn Bell. Morang told police he fell asleep at the wheel. Today, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office says it is working with a sleep deprivation expert. It plans to have him make a presentation to employees and union representatives, the topics, the dangers around lack of sleep, and also how sleep deprivation affects each employee individually. More asylum seekers are coming to Portland, but this time only 31 people from the African continent will be arriving here tomorrow. They are traveling from the Texas border. They won't be staying at the Portland Expo. Individuals will stay at the Oxford Street shelter. Families will overflow to the Chestnut Street shelter, and if need be, more will go to the YMCA. The city manager does want to stress that the city does have the resources and funding from donations and state resources to handle this influx. He says many of them at the Texas border want to come to Portland because he says they see the city as a welcoming community.
That what the amazing work that the city and our partners and the community did over the course of the summer to provide shelter, food for those 450 plus, I think certainly resonates as opposed to what maybe other cities have done.
And because they will be using the Oxford Street shelter, the city manager is stressing that no one is going to be turned away from that shelter, and that includes the homeless.
Central Maine Power has reportedly gotten approval from regulators to shut off the power to 50 customers who have not paid their bills because they are still disputing the amounts they've been charged. It's the latest wrinkle in the ongoing dispute between the company and customers whose bills increased dramatically after CMP changed its billing system in October 2017, just before a bitterly cold winter. State law says a utility cannot shut off a customer's power between November 15th and April 15th, the coldest months, without approval from the Public Utilities Commission. CMP spokesperson Catherine Hartnett tells us she's not sure whether any of those notices have been sent out, and that the people disputing high bills who've contacted the company to set up payment need not worry. We're in the final hours of our annual Honor Flight Maine Telethon. You've been seeing the number to call at the bottom of the screen.
That's right. On the other end of that line are a lot of really great volunteers who are answering the phones. When we come back, why every dollar you donate will help a veteran get the trip of a lifetime. Stay with us.
So many of you have already called into our Honor Flight Maine Telethon today, and for that, we are mighty grateful.
Indeed. And while most donations are from individual Maine people, some organizations have been raising money for this for quite some time. News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry joins us now from Bangor to tell us about one of those groups. Jackie?
Pat and Cindy, that group is the East Millinocket Volunteer Fire Department. Their goal when they wanted to raise money for Honor Flight was to send one veteran to Washington, D.C. Instead, they raised enough money to send 5 veterans and then a little spare change to help out the 6th. And this is why they decided to send those veterans to Washington, D.C.
Not a lot of World War II veterans left. We said, yeah, we'll do Honor Flight and hopefully try to send some of the local veterans on the Honor Flight. And we actually had 2 from East Millinocket that went this past summer on the Honor Flight.
And Steve mentioned that we're losing a lot of World War II veterans. I actually just spoke to someone on the phone at our phone bank who really wanted to point that out. We're losing 30 World War II veterans a month on average here in Maine. So it's so important for organizations like this to be sending them to see their national monuments. So keep those phones ringing. We have just over $98,000 so far. So we're getting there, we're getting close, and we can't wait to see what you guys raise here in Maine. But Pat and Cindy, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Jackie, thank you.
Keith Carson's forecasts after when we come back. Byproducts from the sawmill industry are helping a company in Sanford crack the energy market in a big way.
Wood and Sons are turning out 50 tons of wood pellets daily to heat homes in Maine and those across New England. The company is not even a year old and is already having a hard time keeping up with the demand for renewable energy.
News Center Maine's Vivian Lee has more.
Pleasant River Lumber Company used to pay to have their leftover wood chips and sawdust hauled away to paper mills located hours away. Then that market began to dry up.
As those paper mills, slow down and ramp up, that kind of had us struggling to try to find a place to put the chips.
The sawmill found a home for the byproducts literally in its backyard.
I'm having someone here on site, it's a no-brainer.
Tony Wood was more than eager to take that sawmill residue off their hands.
We're able to use every bit that's coming out of those harvests.
Wood isn't kidding. Check out this pile.
We had a massive mountain of chips out here just to make sure we'd be able to keep up going into the wintertime.
Wood and his father opened this $7 million plant last December. Wood and Sons manufacture eastern white pine wood pellets for the heating fuel market. The Wood family ran a sawmill and pallet operation for more than a century before it shut down in the early 2000s. Today, this plant is producing 50 tons of pellets every 12 hours. A process that involves loading the chips into this machine where they are ground into sawdust. Then it's dried to get the moisture content to 5%.
So we dry them out, we grind them twice.
That material is fed into a machine that presses out pellets. After the pellets cool, they are run through a silo, screened, and bagged. Now, Wood says his company's pellets stand out in the market because of consistency. They're exclusively sourced from white pine and no other hardwoods. He says this type of wood generates a lot of heat quickly with less ash. Customers are clamoring for the pellets, which the company says are 30% cheaper than oil and 50% less costly than propane.
We've been sold out every month since we got started.
A good problem to have as the forest product industry diversifies to keep up with the demand for sustainable energy. In Sanford, Vivian Lee, News Center, Maine.
People were scrambling to find their sunglasses today. They haven't been used in so long.
Yeah. What's your stance on this? If it's a sunny day like today and you get in your car and the sunglasses are not there, do you go back inside to try to find them?
Only because the angle of the sun is so low, you kind of need them. It's not just a vanity thing or anything. It's really, there are times you can't see without them.
You're blinded out by it. I go back in, and my wife can drive without them, and no matter what the conditions.
Yeah.
Like snow with sun, and I'm like, I can't do it. Snow and sun is the worst.
As they say, your mileage may vary.
Right, yeah. It's all, I guess she has better eyes than me. I don't know. Put that on the list. 49 officially in Portland, and nice sunny day. You can see exactly where the sun was today by the temperature contrast, where it was only in the 30s across northern Maine and the mountains where they had more cloud cover. And a low stratus deck actually through this morning. Some great pictures from the mountains of shooting over the stratus. Now everybody's seeing more clouds increasing from the west across Vermont and New Hampshire. And so we cloud up pretty quickly tonight. I had a correction, and the meteor shower I thought was last night. It's actually tonight, so I hope nobody woke up at 11:50 and went out there to try to see it because it wasn't out there. It will be out there tonight. Unfortunately, we've got more cloud cover, and it's really just down east and northern Maine that have a chance of being clear at that time. So it doesn't look ideal. Temperatures right around freezing. A couple of showers start moving in late tonight, and a few snow flurries possible as well. But tomorrow's not a terrible day. We start with a shower. The middle of the day is the best part. Partly cloudy, temperatures upper 40s, some low 50s even, and then a trailing snow flurry in the mountains as a cold front comes through, and then notably cooler air for the second half of the day and into the night on Saturday. And Saturday is actually a good looking day. It's not particularly warm though, only getting to around 40 degrees in most spots and only into the 30s in some of the higher terrain. But again, the sun makes up for that. We start clouding up on Saturday night. Here comes our next storm on Sunday. Let's switch computer models over to the European model, in which the clouds increase there as well. Starts as light rain around midday over southern Maine. Snow across the interior, and you notice that rain snow line does collapse a bit here through the afternoon, but it doesn't get there till after sunset north of Bangor, so just be aware of the timing here. Cold rain along the coastline, snow in Bangor, Waterville, Augusta. Hard to accumulate a little bit at first, but eventually does start to stick, and then it moves out on Monday morning, and it starts to warm up into the mid-40s, so a lot of this will melt. So took an early shot at a snowfall map. This is on the early side. Cold November rain along the coastline, 1 to 3 inches of slushy accumulation. Augusta and Lewiston probably closer to 1 inch, and then closer to 3 in the mountains, and 3 to 6 through Presque Isle, Holton, Millinocket. It is worth noting, though, that the latest American GFS model came in about 30 minutes ago and took this thing out to sea. And the computer models in this shoulder season, as we call it, of storms have been atrocious. So we'll see if that continues into the winter. I hope that it does not. Marine forecast seas around 4 to 6 feet. Water temperature holding at 49. Gale warning is in effect. So definitely got Saturday. Sunday doesn't look great. Monday and Tuesday look pretty nice. At this point, Thanksgiving looks fine. It was really cold last year, if you remember. It will not be like that. No major storms. A couple of showers in there. But it will be rain, and it will be mild-ish. And Thanksgiving is not like a big outdoor holiday.
No.
So
that's good forecast for travelers. Right?
Yeah, looks good.
All right,
Keith.
thanks.
We're back after this.
Also, too, because then it.
So why don't you just go with, we just broke 100,000.
Yeah. So over 100,000 essentially in hand.
Hi.
On top of
Thank you.
this lovely 3,000 check.
What are we at, 100?
Okay,
3,000?
good.
Yeah, so we broke 100,000.
Hey, we broke 100,000,
Yeah.
so get ready to cheer with the bell. And if you guys want to be ready here-ish, we're basically going to run through the totals, and then as long as you're close enough, we're going to call
And
you over.
Mark is Camp, K-A-M-P. right? Not Camp.
C-A-M-P. Mark Camp, C-A-M-P.
Okay, I thought it was K.
No, it's
Okay.
not. It's Camp, C-A-M-P.
Not that I need that, but I just,
Okay,
yeah.
so he's presenting a check.
What?
He's presenting a check to us?
Yes, for Roe Ford. So he should be standing just out of camera range there.
Yeah. Do you,
Yeah.
Serbs, you want us to put him here now?
Yeah, you might as well get as
Hey,
close
Mark,
as
do you want to
can.
come here now?
Are you guys going to have Lori out here as well?
What?
Are you having Lori out here as well? He should, yes.
Right
He
there.
should,
Thank you, Mark, right there as well.
she should be out here because he's going to.
Hand it to her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lori? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
We actually have 103. Yep, we broke without checks. So we broke 100. I think it's 103,021, right, Kim? He sent it to Ron Well, yeah. Is it 103,021, Kim? I think it was. She's not responding
Okay.
now.
Just over an hour left in our Honor Flight Maine telethon. Don Carrigan and Samantha York are at the phone bank, and there's a big breakthrough happening.
There is indeed. Thank everybody for your generosity. We're getting there. The phones have been ringing, and we've got a new number to
We do.
report.
Is everybody ready? Okay, we have officially broken the $100,000 mark.
Well done.
This is amazing. Oh my gosh.
Well
So
done.
the goal is to get us to at least $150,000. That's what we were able to do last year. I'd love to see us do it again.
That means a busy next hour.
Yes.
But we are taking a step closer to that goal right now with a donation from Roe Ford, who's a very loyal supporter of Honor Flight Maine. Mark Camp is here from Roe, and Lori Seidlinger from Honor Flight Maine. Let's first step up there. Mark, this is an important, you're a Marine Corps vet, your grandfather Marine Corps vet. Why is Honor Flight important to you?
Well, I just, all the sacrifices, especially people in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, all the sacrifices they gave, and I think they just deserve all of our respect, and this is a great way to do that. I know my grandfather went on one of these, and it was just an awesome experience, really, thanks to Lori for setting that up.
So you've got a check for Lori.
Absolutely.
And it was an honor to have both your dad and grandfather on the trip. And to just see the interaction and the honor and the memories that were made that weekend, and just to have the support of Roe all along from day one, outings on Memorial Day, and just anything we needed, you folks have been there for us. We thank you for your service and for the support of Honor Flight that's been just unending for us.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you do.
So we're going to add another 3,000.
Another 3,000. Thank you very much.
Total. Thank you so much. Again, phones are open until 7:30. Give us a call. Pat and Cindy will send it back to you.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks, guys.
So,
in case you've been in a snow cave somewhere, which Bill Green has done, by the way, you know his last day with News Center is tomorrow.
he is calling it a wrap after 47 years of great storytelling. And it all culminates in a live special tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It'll be an hour-long celebration of Bill Green, the legend, the journalist, the Mainer. And you can even get in on the fun right now by going to our Facebook page and posting your selfie with your own Bill Green mustache. We've had a lot of fun with it, clearly.
I still look forward to the Keith Carson beard filter someday.
Yeah, never going to be as famous as Bill. I will say, is this going to be like a Gronkowski situation where we keep speculating he'll come back for the playoffs? Like he'll when we need him,
see him again.
I think you will too.
I just have a feeling.
Yeah, like when we need him, maybe. All right, let's have a look at the 7-day forecast here. Weather looks pretty good for Bill's soiree tomorrow. Saturday looks nice, and Sunday at this point looks like cold rain along the coastline and some wet snow inland. Monday and Tuesday look good. What you'll notice is we're out of the freezer for the next 7 days. Nothing brutally cold, so that
rain that comes down isn't going to turn treacherous.
No, we should be in good shape all the way through Thanksgiving.
It'll feel a little better too, having gone through the cold already.
That's News Center. Thanks for being with us. See you back here tonight at 11.
Good night.
It also I get itchy, and it's just.
Well, at first, I know you personally, and I find it weird to not see you in a suit. Never mind. The facial hair.
He fought to grow a beard for years.
Yeah.
And years he wanted to grow one. They wouldn't let him. So he'd go every vacation and he'd come back and they'd go, nope.
Yeah. So when did they give in?
I don't know. Matt Flower grew one, I think, on the Today Show. And they're like, oh. Right, exactly. I think also he just went on the air one day and got enough good stuff.
Portland is ready to take in more asylum seekers. The latest tonight. More asylum seekers are headed to Maine. The latest tonight. Once again, I didn't bother the Bangor viewers with the mention of Portland.
Asylum seekers in one sentence. Oof.
Do you think Trump will seek asylum in Canada or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're persecuting me.
I couldn't see him in Canada. I think he'd go south, but not to the obvious place. Yeah. Mild on Friday, but watching a storm on Sunday. Details at 11. Maddie, you keep showing up in my Instagram feed. I need to change my algorithm.
It's too much good stuff for you.
Just too much, yeah. Too much quality. Mild on Friday, but watching a storm on Sunday. Details at 11.
It's funny how that happens.
Back. Also breaking.
targets and blocks the specifics.
All right, Earl, so what do you want to share on air? What is something that...
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can, Seth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Have we been on Facebook Live all day?
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Rob Caldwell.
And I'm Amanda Hill. Coming up tonight on 207, taking our nation's veterans to Washington, D.C. We'll check in on our Honor Flight Telethon, raising money to send Maine veterans to visit war memorials in our nation's capital. We'll hear from the founder about how your donations will help.
And later, Chris Brown and Mick Pratt from Bull Moose stop by with a preview of a new record store day and the releases that are coming into the shops just in time for Black Friday.
First tonight, the third part of our series on a year-long renovation project in Cape Elizabeth.
You never really know what you'll find when you open up a wall in a house, especially if it's an old house. The new owners of a mid-century modern home near Fort Williams know this. They renovate homes for a living.
But this house is one they plan to live in, and so far this project has been an adventure. Here's Cindy Williams with part 3 of Renovation Rewind.
I think it's going great.
Demo was full of discoveries for homeowners and professional renovators Laurel and Richard LeBeau.
We found some mold in some of the walls, which wasn't a big surprise. We found a bunch of animal nests. I still think we're going to find more of those in a couple other rooms. So it's just the usual stuff you find in an old house.
With the walls opened up now, they can address those problems. Richard found a solution for the nasty rot he uncovered in the guest room bedroom with the fun bubble window.
The only solution really here was to replace the plates, jack up these rafters, and then this is what we call sistering, where we put a new rafter next to the old one.
They put in new rafters and studs and repaired the rot. The house sits on rock, and builder Mike Backman of Waterhouse Builders solved the moisture problem in the basement by installing 2-inch rigid foam insulation behind the wall studs.
Renovating a home, it's always a good idea to add as much insulation and waterproofing as you possibly can.
You can fasten or glue this foam right to the concrete. Not only does it insulate, it provides a moisture barrier. And in the walls upstairs, which generations of squirrels have called home.
And then she's doing cellulose insulation, which is that blown-in fluffy stuff.
And do squirrels not like that?
Yeah, the squirrels don't like it. There's something in the cellulose, I believe, that they don't like eating.
On the walls that haven't come down, Laurel is pulling, peeling, and steaming off wallpaper.
Look at that. That's a gorgeous wall underneath.
She really struggled with getting rid of this oh-so-70s mushroom pattern.
Now, should I feel guilty that we're taking this wallpaper down? I know a lot of people really, really like this wallpaper, but
you've got it in the closet.
I know, we kept some in the closet. And this is going to be the master bedroom. I just don't think I could fall asleep at night with the giant mushroom graphic over my head.
To make it a master, they are reconfiguring the walls.
So what used to be the laundry room is now all going to be great big closet space.
Awesome.
And then back in what was their family bath is now going to be the master bath. Perfect. So we're going to have big soaking tub over here.
Laurel does her own design using a CAD program for drawing and drafting. And the shopping for fixtures right now is all-consuming.
Work all day on the different projects and then go back and pull out my CAD program and do that kind of thing at night. And by the time the guys are in here, I need to know what every vanity looks like. I need to know what every light fixture is that we're going to do. Because we need to start wiring so that we can put everything in place.
This was the master bathroom. Check out the water fountain style faucet.
See, perfect reading light.
Get a load of the color of the commode and the sunken tub.
And then the other thing that's interesting, and to be honest, this bathtub makes me think of a hip fracture waiting to happen, but
these and the bright blue kitchen and mudroom cabinets are headed to Restore to benefit Habitat for Humanity. The kitchen is gutted now. Instead of the low-slung windows under the wall cabinets, a giant new kitchen window is being installed.
Yeah, it's just going to make it feel much brighter, I think.
They've expanded the doorway from the kitchen into the rest of the house.
I love the doorway where it is because now we capture all of the light from the skylight and you kind of see down into the stairwell.
And added transom windows to brighten the long, dark hallway behind the massive wall that leads to the guest rooms. The koi pond, which used to be the first thing you saw when you walked through the front door, is gone. Opting to get rid of the added moisture and improve the flow of the room, the LeBeauvs opted for a raised, poured concrete floor.
And then we're going to put another stairway here up into the kitchen.
Oh, great. So there will be stairs at either end to the second raised level, the kitchen, dining room, and den.
But to have the circular flow.
Outside, some pressing problems emerge.
The lichen that's growing on here. Oh, wow. You know, cedar siding is a fabulous kind of siding, but after almost 50 years, it's definitely time to look at changing that.
To put a lid on heat escaping through the roof, rigid foam insulation is being hoisted to the top. Cellulose will be added to the interior to keep the warmth in. And then there's the deck. Once they got all that decking off,
and then we really saw sort of the scope of what needed to be done, and there was just an enormous amount of rot. I don't know if pressure-treated decking even existed in 1970, 72.
These kiln-dried boards are rotted through, so the entire deck is coming down. Those funky lights have been saved. They'll go back up, but there's a lot of work to do first to rebuild right on top of rock. These discoveries are pushing the completion date later and later.
Now I'm thinking optimistically Thanksgiving, but we'll probably be lucky to get it in for Christmas.
Okay. I mean, we had our director in our ears saying they're taking out all the great things, but the question is, did they make it in time for Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Well, they're definitely taking out the rot. We'll find out if they met that deadline a week from tomorrow here on 207 when we bring you the next installment of Renovation Rewind.
Here's a follow-up to a very different kind of story we first told you about in August. At that time, two women from Isle Ho and Penobscot Bay had started a project to help raise money for the restoration of the Isle Ho Lighthouse.
It is the best-known landmark on the island, and it needs major repairs. So Allison Richardson and Molly Siegel came up with a plan. What was the spark? What was the genesis of the idea?
Well, I mean, I've always been interested in ocean swimming. I've never done it before, but I thought, hey, I'll give it a try.
She bought a wetsuit and swam a couple of 100 feet across a small cove on Isle Ho.
And I thought, oh, wow, you know, I got this big boost of energy, I guess. And then Molly came swimming with me one day, and as we were swimming across, I was like, we should swim around the island. Like, no one's ever done this before, and if we're gonna do it, you know, we should do it for a good cause.
And just like that, they had their mission. They would swim all the way around Isle Ho, about 18 miles in all. Allison Richardson and Molly Siegel did what they set out to do. They swam about 1 mile at a time, the 18 miles around Isle Ho, which, as far as anyone knows, had never been done before. And in doing it, they raised more than $18,000 to help restore the lighthouse. Islanders threw them a big thank you party when they finished the swim where it began, at the lighthouse.
Now another honor has come their way. Last night, the organization Maine Preservation presented Allison and Molly with its Spirit of Preservation Award at its annual event that celebrates excellence in historic preservation. Great things coming out of that.
Yeah, they richly deserve that.
Coming up, there's still time to donate to our Honor Flight Maine telethon.
We'll tell you how when we come back.
Our Honor Flight Maine Telethon is now in its final half hour. We're raising money to help send Maine veterans to Washington, D.C.
Let's check in with News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry in Bangor with the latest. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, Rob and Amanda. The phones have actually stopped ringing, so we need you guys to call. There are only about 20 minutes left for you to call into Honor Flight Maine and donate so we can maybe get up to where we were last year. But I'm also joined with a special guest. Earl Morse is the founder of Honor Flight, not just Honor Flight Maine, Honor Flight as a whole. Can you tell me about how this idea came about?
It came about because at the time I was taking care of veterans at a small VA clinic in Springfield, Ohio. And about 300 of my patients were World War II veterans, and after waiting 60 years, they finally had a memorial, but no way to get there. So I'm also a private pilot, and I started recruiting other pilots, and we started flying them in tiny little planes, 2 at a time. Our first flight, we took off in 6 little planes. We flew 12 veterans, and that was 15 years ago. And now, at the end of this year, we will have transported about 250,000 veterans from all over the country, and it's been a wild ride.
You're a vet yourself. How important is this to you?
Well, it's more important to my patients, the veterans that I know, my World War II veterans, because they're in their 80s and their 90s, and they thought they were forgotten. They thought that nobody longer appreciated their service, the sacrifice of their friends, everything that they've given us, that they've protected for us. They thought they were forgotten. This changes everything. They go on a trip and they know that not only the people in the great state of Maine appreciate their service, this nation appreciates their service, and they get to witness that firsthand.
You and I were talking a little bit about hope. Can you tell me about that?
That's what this telethon does, because if you're in your 80s and your 90s and you're facing another Maine winter, it's like, what do I have to look forward to? Because of this telethon, because of the great support that we've gotten all across the state of Maine, every World War II veteran in 2020 is going to go see their memorial. Every Korean War veteran in Maine is going to go see their memorial. And if we get through them fast enough, we're going to get to our Vietnam veterans as fast as we can.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. There's still time to call. Like I said, $700 sends one veteran to Washington, D.C. this spring. So get those phones ringing. Amanda and Rob, back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Jackie. We'll have the final total coming up in just a few minutes. Back with more of 207 in a moment.
for this last kit.
Here on 207, we have talked a lot about Record Store Day, something that usually happens in the spring, but you get kind of a little extra this year.
Yeah, there's a Record Store Day that's also happening on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. The guys from Bull Moose, Mick Pratt, Chris Brown, here with us to talk about some of the special releases that will be available that day. And this is, I like this because this is all stuff that really is out of the ordinary, right?
Yes, certainly. It's very special.
All right, let's get right to it. Number one, this is a great looking piece of vinyl right here.
This is cool.
I mean, just on sheer aesthetics, this is a winner. What is it?
It's the sound. Well, you can see it's the soundtrack to Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, which is, for people who haven't seen it, it's a Jim Henson TV special that, you know, it's like a Muppets thing, but if you like the Muppets, you probably remember that well, especially if you were like a kid in the 80s. Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, it's great.
Will parents like it, or will parents be driven to distraction?
No, it's a Muppet thing.
No,
it's a Muppet thing.
Okay.
No, because it's like parents probably saw it a lot.
Good point.
That's their age, so that's like a thing to share with your kids.
All right.
The question is, are parents going to love Rockabye Baby lullaby renditions of Snoop Dogg?
I think that they will. So what's great about this is actually part of an ongoing series of Record Store Day releases. There have been multiple Rockabye Baby lullaby albums. I think Metallica had one. There was a Weezer one, I feel like. And yeah, you know, Drop It Like It's Hot, Gin and Juice.
I was gonna say, yeah, Sensual Seduction, great lullaby.
I can't imagine actually listening to it, like playing it for babies, but I think adults would get a wicked kick out of it. Just, you know, laid back, you know, sipping.
What's great about the selections that you guys have brought in is that they're all over the place, and this is a different one altogether, a Masters of the Universe album with music composed by Bill Conti, who's best known for doing the theme from Rocky.
Yeah, and Dolph is right there on the cover.
On the cover. There you are.
And he was in what, Rocky 4 or 3 or something?
A bunch of them forgettable. Yeah.
How's this album?
We were talking about, we don't remember how the soundtrack is because it didn't stick. But the cover is great. It's the
Skeletor arrives, Skeletor departs.
Yeah.
On this, yeah.
It's probably loud orchestral superhero kinds of music.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the thing about soundtrack composers is they're fairly consistent.
Yeah.
Like if you think of like John Williams, there's no like bad John Williams soundtrack.
They're good.
So
they know their craft.
Okay, next we have File 733 UFO. What's going on here?
This is a spoken word album of people recounting their abduction stories. So it's not music per se, but it's very interesting. So it's like, you know, the truth is out there, right?
So it's a reissue of a album from the 60s. Yeah, and then
you can see
some of it. Yeah.
Holly Mountaintop Removers, Diatribe Convoy.
Those are, so the second record, right, I forgot, the second record is actually contemporary psychedelic bands just doing their normal thing. So you could, if you have two turntables, I guess you could.
So far that there is a normal thing.
Right.
Well, for normal for them. So you can play them together, I guess.
Somebody who wants that under the Christmas tree on Christmas morning.
I'm into that. All right, this one I know you want.
Yeah, this is the one that I want under the Christmas tree. The Cramps, who have brought in as a guest vocalist the inimitable William Shatner.
Yep, the Garbage Man. This is actually part of a previous project called Covered in Punk, which was a Dr. Demento concept album where you have punk bands doing covers of like Dr. Demento novelty songs and then novelty artists doing covers of punk songs. And what's great about this is you actually get 3 times the Shatner. So there's the regular version with Shatner, just the vocals, just the instrumentation. So if you want to hear just the Shatner vocals, we have it. It's there.
Why else would anyone buy an album except to get the Shatner vocals?
Right, you're so
with no distractions.
Yeah.
This one you really wanted to showcase just because.
I just love the photo. It is
Look at the turtleneck.
The album was originally released in 1958, and they don't make covers like that anymore. Jazz trumpeter Chet Baker. How's the music?
Well, I love I personally love him. I love his, he's got this really nice mellow tone, and a soft, when he sings, this is mostly a vocal album, and so he sings in this really soft crooner kind of voice. The thing is, you can kind of see there's always a little bit of menace to his singing, so it's weird and spooky in a way that I think.
There's a creepy element to that photo when you look at it closely. Yeah.
The way he's looking at her, yeah.
I mean, they would probably had to prop him up because heroin was an interest of his.
Okay.
Interesting way to put it.
Putting it charitably. All right, from Snoop to Shatner and beyond. Got to leave it there. Guys, thanks so much for coming in, and stick around. We're back with more of 207 in a moment. Here's a question for you. How many reporters are there in this country of 330 million people who have worked as TV journalists in their home state at the same news operation for the last 47 years?
We don't know the answer to that question, but it may just be only one. And if it is just one, it's our own Bill Green. After 47 years at News Center Maine, Bill is retiring, and we are sending him out in style with a special hour-long 207 tomorrow night. It will look back at a remarkable career in Maine television.
We hope you join us for the Farewell to Bill tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Our Honor Flight Maine telethon began at 5 o'clock this morning and is now winding down.
Don Kerrigan and Samantha York have been there all day long and are back with the final tally on how we've done. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys. Yes. We've been here so long, our batteries are dying in our microphones.
Got a little technical
it's all
fix
good,
here.
though. And hey, we've got some great news.
Yes. You folks have been very generous to Honor Flight Maine. Thank you so much. We do have still some calls coming in, but here's where we're at right now. Do you want to get that number?
We
Let
are
me find where I
at,
wrote it down.
we had all right, ready? $158,000, 765. That is incredible. Thank you guys so much. This means so much, you know.
And-
Look at Lori. Lori is so excited. Lori's silent.
And that is enough, they estimate, to send 224 veterans.
Wow.
On an
That's
honor flight trip
amazing.
to Washington.
Amazing.
That's terrific generosity by the people of Maine. Thank you very much. I want to mention, I think my microphone's working again.
Oh, it
I'm
is?
not
Okay.
sure.
All right.
I want to mention I want to mention one donation in particular. A man named Brian Milliken from Falmouth called up and gave a donation to send a veteran in memory of his son, Kyle Milliken, a Navy SEAL from Falmouth who was killed in Somalia in 2017. Brian, thanks very much. We're sorry for your loss. We're proud of your son's service, as I know you are, and thank you for your generosity to Honor Flight Maine.
Absolutely. And those are stories I think that our volunteers were really hearing all day from people. Lori, do you want to?
Absolutely.
This is Lori Seidlinger.
Lori Seidlinger is president of Honor Flight Maine. Lori, come up. We're going to ask you a quick question.
Oh,
so a very long day, very long effort. And a good total. How do you feel about that?
It's been a great day in both locations. We can't thank the volunteers and everybody here at News Center, both locations, for all of their just making this happen and all the generosity of the folks of Maine, making the 5 trips next year happen for the veterans.
Yeah. 5 trips next year. Your generosity is going to send a couple hundred more Maine veterans on an Honor Flight Maine trip to Washington. That's great.
It's amazing. Thank you guys so much for everything. Amanda,
Thank
Rob.
you for joining us all day and for supporting these folks.
Absolutely. Amanda, Rob, we'll send it back to you guys.
Also, a huge thank you to all of the volunteers, as they mentioned, who have been there all day long since 5 o'clock.
You were there taking calls. You got a $3,500 donation from someone.
Yes, someone wanted to send 5 veterans on that trip, donated $3,500. Really great.
I was on the phone bank. First call I got, $700. So thank you all for your generosity.
That's 207. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hope to see you tomorrow at 7 with our special farewell to Bill Green. Until then, good night.
Does it? Oh wait, we got to do a promo. Can we? Do you guys mind us recording the Monday promo?
Oh yeah, we figured we had to.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I think Sam is suffering from microphone stress disorder.
Sammy. She handled it well.
Well, no, actually, she didn't. She
No, she just took it away. Yeah.
She just gave up there.
Yeah. Because she's like, all right, Dawn speaks. I listen.
Dawn's like, my mic's working, and literally Matt goes in their ear.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and go with Matt. Go with the audio guy.
So you want to do self-driving car, and I'll do. Should I do Beatles night or Thanksgiving wine?
That's a good question. What do you think?
Probably Beatles night, right?
Yeah.
Although for people in northern Maine who aren't going to come to Beatles night, do they care about that?
How about, let's see, how can we tease it in a way that, how about something like in the best night of the year for Beatles fans in Maine?
Okay.
Yep. Coming up on the next 207, so you've heard a lot about self-driving cars, but what can they really do and not do? We put one to a test, found some great stuff, some stuff that was kind of eh.
And the best night of the year for Beatles fans in Maine on 207.